Hey, Joseph59 here to show you guys how to make this end grain cutting board shaped into a guitar. And you can download a free set of plans for the guitar shape, and if you didn't want to build a guitar shaped one, you can also build just a plain square one as well. For this project, I just grabbed a whole bunch of scrap material. I find this is an excellent way to use up your scrap material when you make cutting boards, and you also get a really neat design out of the project as well. So I just kind of moved some pieces around here, and I'm happy with this design. I just want to take your template and lay it out just to make sure that your length and your width is okay, that you've got enough room to cut everything out. And I'm just using my shortest piece here as a reference guide to cut all my longer pieces. Glue up, you want to make sure that your grain direction is going in different directions. For instance, this one that I'm gluing up is going to be down, up, down, up, down, up. And that just means which way the grain direction is going. If, for instance, you did this one here and it's down and down, well, what's going to happen is if your wood is trying to expand, well, one's going to go one way and another board is going to go another way, and then your board is going to be really wavy, and you don't want it to be wavy. So you just want to make sure that you're always going in the opposite direction of your wood. Before you do a glue up, I just wanted to mention that it's always a good idea to do a dry fit without your glue, so you know how your clamps are going to be positioned, and also to make sure if you have any gaps, this is the time now to fix them on your wood. Also, I like to number my pieces of wood, so I have 6 pieces here, so I numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And some people will put down a triangle shape to make sure that they line up everything together with their pieces. I just simply use an arrow so I know which ends I have to glue up, and that way then when you position them all back together, it's easier to line them all back up when you got the clamps on. You want to make sure that you use a food graded safe glue. I'm using Tybond 3. It is also waterproof, so you want to make sure that is important as well. And now for applying your glue, I simply just squeeze it on, and I just use my finger because I find that works the best. And you want to make sure it's generous. It's okay if some areas squeeze out all over the place. That's okay, that's what you want to do. It's better to add too much glue than if you add too little glue, because that way then it won't stick and won't be strong. So there's the one, and I'm going to go ahead and glue up the rest. Now that I got the glue all on, I'm just going to slightly put a little bit of pressure down and tighten them up, my clamps. And now I'm going to go ahead and let this sit for 8 hours. I forgot to mention before, but when your wood is still in the clamps, you want to come back about 30 minutes and take a small little scraper and scrape off the excess. It's a little bit easier once the glue has set up a little bit, versus now that I've taken it out of the clamps, it's a lot harder to scrape off some of the excess glue. But you do want to try to scrape off as much as you can, because it does make it easier on your planer blades. I got 10 pieces out of the board, but I'm just going to be using 9, and I just like to keep them in order and label them 1 through 9. That way then I can keep track of what order it is in. And now you have to put put them all down to their end grain. And this is kind of the fun part because you get to kind of see how the grain and apply what pattern you want. I'm simply just using every other one, and I will be rotating it and flipping it this way. And that is the pattern that I'm going to be using. Now to glue up your board, I've got all these glued up here. I just got my last one here. I'm just going to go ahead and glue up. And you just want to apply the same things you did the first time when you glued. Just follow the same steps and you'll be fine. And this part here, you want to make sure you got your ends nice and lined up, just because if you were to leave it just plain square, you don't want anything moving on you. So I just want to slowly bring in your clamps on each end here. And again, you just want to slowly bring a little bit of pressure at a time on each ends. That way then you don't get a whole lot of moving on you. And then slowly tighten up. And I just like to check on the bottom of the clamps to make sure I don't have any lifting or anything like that. A little bit of pressure down again. And a little bit of pressure as well. Then I'm just going to apply a clamp here on top as well, just to give it a little extra support here in the middle. And there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and let this sit for 8 hours, but remember you want to come back in a half hour to scrape off all those glue bits. I took off the clamps and I scraped off any excess glue that there was. I applied my guitar template on top and just used some painter's tape just to hold it in position. I took my pencil. You want to trace out the entire outline, and then you are left with this. For sanding the edges, I started with 100 grit, then 150, and then I finished with 400 grit sandpaper. For applying your finish, you want to make sure that it is a food graded safe product. I am using Watco's Butcher Block oil finish. I find that works best for me, and I've been very happy with the results that I've got out of it. As you can see here, I've already done the bottom. I like to do the bottom first, and the reason for that is next when I do the edges, in case if any tends to get on top of here, I can easily wipe it. It'll be a lot easier. And then when I flip it over to do the top, that way if any still happen to drip on the bottom, it'll be easier to wipe off. That way then you don't kind of get extra drips and lines everywhere. Now I just applied the sides, and the really cool feature of watching the end grain or even just a regular cutting board is watching the colors come to life. And you just want to make sure that you apply a good amount coat. Your first coat is really going to soak in, so don't worry about if some spots here and there don't look 100%. That's going to be natural because the wood, especially end grain, is really soaking the product in. And so I'm going to finish up here, cover the whole entire top and the routed edges, and I'm going to let this dry for 6 hours, and then I usually do another coat in a 6 hours, and then I sand to 400 grit, and then I do a third coat on top. And you want to do the same thing on the top and on the bottom and on the sides as well. But just make sure you follow your instructions depending on what product you're using. I'm applying bumpers to the bottom of my cutting board, and I'm just using these ones from Lee Valley. And I'm also going to pre-drill. I'm using a 5/64 drill bit because we don't want to crack the wood. And I just have some tape on here, as you can see, just so I don't go all the way through my board. And you want to use a number 6 by 1/2 inch stainless steel screw. We don't want our screw to rust because it will get access to some water, so we want to make sure that we've got a good quality screw. And you don't want to over tighten it, you just want to get it so it's nice and snug, and then you're done. Thanks for stopping by my channel, and go to the video description link below for free plans. Don't forget to comment on this video. If you would like to see more of these videos, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.